I just couldn't. I could not. The minute I touched alcohol, I wanted more. And I had this little inner voice going, oh, I'm hungover again. It's Tuesday. I'm hungover again. It's Wednesday. I promised myself I'd only have one glass. I had 2 bottles. Back then, which is nearly 14 years ago, there was no sober curious movement. There was no grey area drinking discussions. It was just like, who doesn't drink alcohol? I couldn't imagine a life without alcohol in it, and I was terrified. But it was just always 5 o'clock is wine o'clock, and that was how I lived my life for 20 plus years. So my bottom, the straw that broke the camel's back, and like I say, I'd had this internal dialogue, this worried voice for a few years.
Yeah.
So the straws were building, the camel was groaning under the weight of straws. That's a good analogy, I like that. The final one for me was...
My name is Nicole Young, and this is the Rock Your Bottom podcast. Kia ora guys, and welcome back to another episode. This week I'm joined virtually for the first time, so not on the couch, by the incredible Lotta Dann, also known as Mrs. D. We have an awesome kōrero about who she is, her journey into sobriety, and the amazing things she's gone on to achieve in the past 14 years. It's a laid-back chat with a few giggles, a few tears, and plenty of insight. Lotta is well known here in Aotearoa for her books, Mrs. D is Going Without, Mrs. D is Going Within, The Wine O'Clock Myth, and her latest, Mrs. D is Not on a Diet. She's also the community manager for the Living Sober online platform, which she helps run alongside the New Zealand Drug Foundation. It's a safe and supportive space where people can talk openly and honestly about their relationship with alcohol. In 2023, Lotta was recognised for her incredible mahi when she was appointed a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit for her services to addiction advocacy. With no further ado, I really hope you enjoy this episode. It's an incredible one. And remember, your engagement really means the world. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe for more kōreros like this. Enjoy. Awesome. Oh, Lotta, welcome to the Rock Your Bottom podcast. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I am internally grateful to have you on this podcast with me. I've created this to try and open up a space to share more conversations on addiction into sobriety or recovery. I too come from my own lived experience, and I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive, massive fan of your work, and I cannot thank you enough for all you have and all you continue to do as well. How are you today?
Oh, Nicole, it's a pleasure to be here, and this is my favourite subject. So I'm grateful for anyone who wants to talk about sobriety, recovery, alcohol, all of it. It's just is my favourite thing to talk about. So yeah, I'm good. I was just in another meeting for work, and I said I have to go and go to another meeting, and just ran away to do this.
I love it. Thank you. I'm just so stoked. Before we kick off, I would kick myself if I didn't tell you about this as well, but I've been thinking about it all morning, and I don't really know how to put it into words, but back in 2022, I entered treatment for the first time for my alcoholism. And I went to a couple of different treatment centres, and at one of them in particular, on my first couple of days there, I was just beating myself up about, I just could not believe I was back there again. And I was walking along a hallway that had like a bookshelf, and this yellow book stood out to me, and I picked it out of the little, bookshelf, and it read Mrs. D is Going Without. And so yeah, I want to thank you for that, because I sit here clean and sober for a couple of years now, and I work at that treatment centre helping others get sober. And oh my God, your book was just amazing.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, it's been out I think I need to reread it, but that book came out of me like a tidal wave. There was no stopping it. I'd been through that process of my drinking, getting sober, and the blog, and then when I got the book contract. I just wrote that book. It was raw and real, and I'm really proud of it because it's not a typical sobriety kind of drinking memoir, because it's not actually about the drinking. It's really about that first year, particularly, of being sober and learning how to live without alcohol. And there's not a lot around about that, or there wasn't back then. So yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I'm just so chuffed that you've joined the cool sober gang. Yay!
I'm here and I love it on this side of the fence. This side of the fence is so much greener and
Right?
it's
Little did
amazing.
we know.
I know. Hey, to kick this episode off, I would love for you, because there will be some people tuning in that are looking at this and going, I don't know who Lotta is. Would you be able to give a brief overview of just who you are and where you come from?
Yeah, so I always call myself, and I'm proud to say, I'm a housewife. It's kind of old-fashioned language, but I'm a mum and a wife, and um, I spent many, many years at home raising my children and running the house. And it was during those years, particularly, where my alcohol use, it got a lot heavier and more dysfunctional. I'd been drinking since I was 15, and I loved alcohol. From the minute I touched it, and I was real part of my persona. I was fun drinking Lotta, and it sort of went with me through my career as a TV journalist and reporter, and then through those early parenting years and being at home. And what, it's a well told story now, but it is still my story. Wine was my friend. It was my 5 o'clock lovely, soothing thing that I did that reminded me that I was still interesting and cool, which is so ironic now because it does the opposite. But anyway, and I just drank. I drank most days, and then it just got heavier and heavier to the point where I couldn't control it anymore. And I had the key with me is I started getting a little niggly voice in my head that was worried about my drinking. And this was in contrast to all the messages we get around us in society. Alcohol's great, alcohol's fun, it's you deserve it, it's your treat, your reward. And I had this little inner voice going, oh, I'm hungover again. It's Tuesday. I'm hungover again. It's Wednesday. I promised myself I'd only have one glass. I had 2 bottles. And that little voice saved me. It wouldn't shut up. It kept noticing what was happening. It kept observing. I started trying to moderate and control. I just couldn't. I could not. The minute I touched alcohol, I wanted more. And so eventually, and this is long story short, but eventually I made the terrifying decision, and it was terrifying because especially back then, which is nearly 14 years ago, there was no sober curious movement. There was no grey area drinking discussions. It was just like, who doesn't drink alcohol? I couldn't imagine a life without alcohol in it, and I was terrified, but I made the leap and then learn how to live without it. And oh my gosh, I mean, can I just tell you something? I'll try not to cry. I'm nearly 14 years sober, and I'm starting therapy next week for something that I have never unpicked. And I wouldn't be doing that if I hadn't quit drinking. And this is 14 years after my last drink. Sobriety is a gift that keeps on giving. It's hard, but it's, oh my gosh, so rewarding and worth it. And so I'm grateful to be on this journey. And that's the long story short. With some tears.
Oh my gosh, it goes to show that sobriety, like you just said, is the gift that keeps on giving. And I cannot wait for you to start that journey and start unpacking some of that stuff that you most probably have held with you for 14 years. And you most probably thought that you'd just have that with you for the rest of your life, and that was just going to be that. And actually, in some cases, that doesn't have to be that. And that's just absolutely incredible. Looking back, you said you started drinking at the age of 15. Was that just socially with friends,
Yeah.
on the weekends? Did you drink with your parents?
Uh, yes, absolutely. And certainly by the time I was 17, boozy nights with family and other family friends, we, yeah, we would be regularly just getting hammered. I mean, it's crazy. I've got a 17-year-old now, and I can't even imagine. But anyway, yeah, but I started with friends, literally drinking cheap bubbly wine on the beach and vomiting marshmallows and, still just getting into it. And then big sort of plastic bottles of beer on the banks of the River Avon where I grew up in Christchurch, and, lots of just parties and beer pong and all of that stuff, or matches we used to call it then. So yeah, it was very much around my social scene and my peers, but also in my house, and it's just the world. It was the world I lived in, was alcohol, and I just got into it. And I'd say by the age of, I reckon, 19, 20, I was a daily drinker, and that's what carried with me right through till I was 39.
Really? And what did daily drinking look like for you?
Well, it was 5 o'clock is wine o'clock. It
Yeah.
was all very respectable. It was all nice bottle of, well, not nice actually. I'd drop my eyes to the bottom shelf at the supermarket and get the like $7.99 Queen Adelaide or whatever. But a bottle of wine, nice big wine glass that we'd got, and 5 o'clock, not 4:55, 5 o'clock. And it was that, but it was glug 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 glug, a lot of it fast, and then any excuse for more. If it was the weekend, if it was any kind of event or social situation, it would be more. But it was just always 5 o'clock is wine o'clock, and that was how I lived my life for 20 plus years.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you gave up drinking?
Yeah, not at all. No, I was 39.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I quite like that because it's 40 was a milestone, it's a point in life, isn't it? And I quit just like a month before my 40th birthday. So I'm coming up 53 now. I'm in menopause, there's all this stuff going on. I'm looking at all these patterns of behavior that I've had hardwired into my life from this stuff that I've been living with that hasn't been really examined, that I'm now finally starting to unpick. Like, I just wouldn't be doing it if I was still drinking. I don't want to, like, drinking isn't the magic. Everything's great in your life. It's the gift. I mean, we say, because it is the gift that keeps on giving, but it's also not just the golden ticket. You got to do the work behind it. And sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's gritty, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, and there's so much that anyone who does it is a bloody legend. But it is, I put it this way, I am so grateful that I got sober.
Yeah. Something about you fascinates me, and it's the fact that you got sober sort of on your own terms and on your own sort of, I don't know if conditions is the right word, but you did it yourself. After doing some research, I shortly sort of realized that you didn't attend meetings or anything like that. And so, yeah, how did you do that?
Well, okay, so there's a few things. I looked at the AA meetings. I knew where they were, and I was too nervous to go. I know AA, NA works brilliantly for so many people. Lots of my friends swear by it. So I just was nervous, and I never went. And then I found my community, because you do need people online. But how did I do it on my own? I think it's really important for me to acknowledge that in terms of the addictive spectrum, I wasn't really far down it. I was addicted. There were negative impacts on my life, but they hadn't got to a point where my life was off the rails. I still was, functioning surface level. So it was, and also the actual chemical hooks in me weren't at the point where I needed managed withdrawal or anything. So I want to acknowledge that, because not everyone should and could. And I don't recommend it, actually. Just go. I'm doing this myself. Like, you need people, you need community, and sometimes you need proper good help. For whatever reason, it's whatever it says about me, I was like, I'm going to fix myself, quit, and then pretty quickly started this anonymous blog for myself, which people started reading and commenting, and through that I got that community of peer support. And that to me has been the key game changer for my whole recovery. I still operate in online communities to this day. So I didn't really go it alone. I started off on my own, but I wasn't alone for long.
Wow. And through that community support, you sort of just got another day up, like one day at a time sort of thing, and time just started ticking over.
Yeah, I mean, you get everything from peers because my husband doesn't get it. He doesn't have that inner dialogue. He doesn't have that pull for more. He's supportive and amazing, but you need the people who get it.
Yeah.
And I found that, so I got the I'm just like you. Here's what I've tried. You're doing so well. Today was bad, tomorrow will be better. All of that wonderful stuff you get from peer support, I got through my online. And yes, it just every day. And for me as well, particularly the articulating, because I was writing online,
Hmm.
articulating and getting all the stuff out of my head onto the screen was a really powerful, because there's so much shit swirling around in here when you're in that addicted place, all the negative self-talk, the confusion, the flip-flopping between I want to drink, I don't want to drink, it's all just a big. And so for me, getting it, freeing myself, and I still write. Everything I write now is I figure out as I write. So that was also a big part of my recovery, was that, externalizing. And you can do that through journaling. You don't have to write a blog that turns into a book. You can just
Yeah.
journal, but it's really powerful.
Did you find when you were writing on your blog and stuff? I think I remember when reading Mrs. D's Going Without, you experienced some people coming back to you saying, "Oh, you need to go to meetings, you need to do this, you need to do that." Did you find people sort of giving you their sort of solid opinion about you need to get to AA?
Occasionally, but no, not a lot. I find the best, most common vibe I get from people in the recovery world is do what works for you.
Yep.
Whatever frickin' works for you. If it's meetings, go. If it's therapy, go. If it's group work, go. If it's inpatient, whatever, go. If it's online, go. If it's all of the above, go. Like, just whatever works for you. So I might have occasionally had some comments, people saying go to AA or whatever, but not a lot. And look, even if they were being dogmatic in what they think works, that's because it worked for them. So they're holding tight to that. I get it. But no, for the most part, most often I just hear people saying, just do what works for you.
Totally. No, that's awesome. Within your journey, my podcast is obviously called Rock Your Bottom, and it's called Rock Your Bottom because everyone's rock bottom looks different. Like, I uploaded a video last week of a guy, and his rock bottom was getting pulled out of his house by a armed defender squad while his son was, like still in his cot asleep in his room. And another lady's rock bottom was just falling down the stairs after having a few too many wines. What did your rock bottom look like for you?
So my bottom, the straw that broke the camel's back, and like I say, I'd had this internal dialogue, this worried voice for a few years.
Yeah.
So the straws were building, the camel was groaning under the weight of straws. That's a good analogy, I like that. Um, the final one for me was hiding an empty bottle from my husband and lying about it. And I really don't want to get into comparisonitis, because whatever your point is your point. And I hear stories like the guy who was being hauled out of his house, and you think, oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking and devastating and massive. And mine was, I just hit a empty bottle, and you don't want to diminish your truth. For me, hiding that bottle was such a cliche, two things, such a cliched dysfunctional behavior. It's like in the movies type behavior that I could clearly see. And number two, it was the deceit that I then lied. And that was I could clearly see that was a turning point, that I was just starting to put that deceit and that distance between me and my husband. And I mean, it's so hard to articulate what it feels like on the inside when you're at that point and you're so stuck and you're so miserable and you're so confused because there's no one else to blame. It's you doing whatever the behavior is. You who promised yourself only yesterday you weren't going to do it, and yet you're doing it. That is the devastating truth of addiction, is that is a freaking hard place to be in. And I woke up that morning after hiding the bottle, and I'd drunk another, it was a Monday night, I'd drunk another 2+ bottles of wine, lied to my husband, woke up with a hangover, pounding head, sick guts, sat on the loo, floods of tears. And that was when I just made the decision. What the point was for me was when I was like, the problem isn't me, it's the alcohol.
Mm.
It's not me, it's the alcohol. If I take the alcohol away, the problem has gone. And with that little thought, I got a little bit of strength, even though it's terrifying because, oh my God, a life with no alcohol, I couldn't conceive. But I was like, I have to do this because it's only going in one direction. And that's when I made the decision. And that was on the 6th of September 2011. That's my sobriety date tattoo.
That's just remarkable. And like you said a little bit earlier, it is such a massive decision to make, especially on your own as well. You know, I bet that decision didn't come easy. You know, what did the next coming days look like for you after that decision was made?
Oh, a lot of tears that first day. A lot of tears and just sadness, which is my go-to emotion, sadness, as you've experienced just on this call. Um, which, by the way, I tried to suppress for all my drinking years, but now I just cry. Um, then I wrote myself on a piece of paper, I wrote a letter to myself, Dear Lotta, I'm going to quit drinking. And I felt determined. And it was that letter idea that then meant the following day I was like, I'm going to write to myself every day. And then I thought, well, I'll do it online, I'll set up a blog. And so then I got busy like setting up the blog on this online platform, and so that was kind of exciting. So I was on a bit of a mission, so it felt a bit exciting. And at that point, Nicole, I'd had the odd, I'd had days off or a week off if I'd tried. So I wasn't sort of craving and uncomfortable with that in those early days so much. It was more right, this is right, I'm doing it. Oh my God, I'm emotional, I'm a mess, but I'm writing to myself, I'm doing a blog, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
It was really as then the days and weeks went on and the roller coaster of being like not numb ever to your emotion and all of that stuff, was the hard and interesting, fascinating work.
What tools and strategies did you put into place over those next coming months? You know, like, I know a lot of people talk about um, meetings and stuff, but did you sort of dive into anything like meditation or breath work or reading? Or I guess you were a massive writer and your outlet was writing as well. Would you say that was a form of self-care for you?
Yeah, writing and reading. I did read, I like sort out blogs. There weren't many again at that time, but anything I could find, I would read. So reading and writing, which is my kind of who I am. I'm a reader writer type personality. Um, was really my main tool. I didn't come to mindfulness or anything till much later. If I'm honest, it sounds like dumb, but finding really treaty drink alternatives was a tool. It was a self-care. Where's a nice peach sparkling something or other that I can put in a flute? Like I really made a performance of that. I don't anymore, but that was also what I did. And yeah, and then just honestly, it was the writing the blog and charting, almost like this is a mission, this is a thing I'm doing, and I'm going to chart how it goes. And having a curiosity really helped.
Nice. Over those months as well, did you find yourself, I'm not too sure, but did you isolate from friends and family just to sort of get a foundation under your feet, or did you find yourself still sort of stepping into, I guess, spaces where other people were drinking how did that go?
Yeah, so family was all living away out of town. We'd moved to another city, so I didn't have family, which is good because all of my family at that point drank. I've got a sister who's now also sober. Um, Friends, yes, we did. I did still go. We weren't doing us too much socializing because we had young kids and we were at home. And my
Yeah.
husband was a shift worker, so he always went to bed early, so I just did as well. But I had and I wrote this in the book, I think it was 6 weddings that first year.
Oh, wow.
It was just trial by wedding. Maybe not that first year. I'm exaggerating. A lot of weddings in those first year or two. And everyone knows a wedding is a giant piss up. But I went to the first one, I remember, and it was such a big deal. And I acted like a weirdo. I was like fetching other people drinks, and it was just so strange behavior because I felt just really uncomfortable in my skin, but it went fine. And then the next one went really well. And then the next one went even better because weddings are fun. You can dance. There's a whole show put on for you, which is the wedding, and watch other people get drunk and eat yummy food. And yeah, and so I just got, you just get better at it slowly over time. I mean, you can still go to 14 years sober. I can still go to events and feel a little bit, not in the same buzz because everyone else is boozing, but that's just a fact. Everyone else is boozing, and quite frankly, they're the boring ones. Some events aren't your event. We put all this power into the liquid in our glass to make something fun. Some
Yeah.
events are just fun because they're fun. Some events aren't fun because they're not fun. Nothing to do with what you're drinking. I've
Yeah.
learned that.
I love it.
And now I know, sorry, I'm raving on. Now I know what I really enjoy doing. I love escape rooms. I go to any escape room I can. I love concerts. I love sitting, live music. So I seek out the things that I, know that are going to give me a lift that aren't so much about being in a bar and drinking.
That's awesome. Do you go to those with people that are also sober, or do they just do their own thing and you're happy to do yours these days?
Well, my husband still drinks, but not a lot. He's pretty casual with it. The escape rooms, I drag my kids along, and I think they've reluctantly decided they quite like them too. Escape rooms are super fun. Yeah, sometimes people, I don't know, don't have a lot of heavy drinking friends anymore, and maybe that's just, we moved city not long after I got sober, and sometimes I wonder if I'd moved into this neighborhood as a drinker, what would my life be like? I'd probably have vastly different friends to the ones I have. The ones I have, we go to the pub and order chamomile tea and pudding.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's I'm just, reflecting on your journey as you are there just speaking, and what sort of comes to the top of my head to sort of dive into now is the fact that you have achieved some incredible milestones in your time being sober. Like 14 years, for example, is massive, and you've come out with also within that, is it 4 books? You've got Mrs. D is Going Without, Mrs. D is Going Within, The Wine O'Clock Myth, and Mrs. D is Not on a Diet.
Yeah, the new one.
Wow! With the book Mrs. D is Going Within, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was, you asked me before, did I go to meditation or mindfulness in those first weeks and months? And no, I didn't. But I did after about 3 years of sobriety because, the not drinking became ordinary. And please hear this, people, in the early stages. There comes a time where you literally don't have to work at not drinking or taking whatever substance you are. It just becomes, I just don't do that. But then, hello, life keeps going on. People keep doing tricky things. Sad things happen, things that make you angry. And I just realized I had no strategies of like how to soothe myself, how to calm myself, how to distract myself, whatever. So I had to develop those. And that's what I kind of chart in that second book, which didn't do as well. Nothing's done as well as the first one, but it's my favorite one because it was hard to write actually, and it's a pretty bog standard idea, which is you have a toolkit of things and you need to work at those things and have them in play to keep yourself mentally well. And my toolkit's changed over the years. I'd put escape rooms in my toolkit now. They weren't there when I wrote that book. I had yoga in there then. I don't do yoga anymore. I'm back at the gym doing weights classes, not that many, but twice a week if I can. So the toolkit changes, but mindfulness was a biggie. And I don't meditate, but I really try and be mindful. I'm very aware when my brain is stuck on something, and I know know how to bring myself back into my body and ground myself and try and break out of those loops. So I do practice mindfulness, but yeah, that's an ongoing thing.
What do you think? That's probably not hard to ask the question. Why do you think that book was the hardest one to write for you?
That is a very good question, Nicole. You might be getting to the nub of my issue. Looking inward. It's subtle stuff. It's powerful as hell, but subtle and hard to articulate. And I was only 3 years sober. I wasn't resolved. I see myself as I don't know if the word is memoirist or memoir writer. I'm not a self-help guru. I know my books help people. I'm not gonna pretend that isn't true. But I'm not like a Mel Robbins. I'm gonna tell you I share myself, and then other people can take, and there's power in that, because being transparent and open is a gift. But I don't like that kind of, here's what you do to live a great life. So I just share what I'm doing. And at that time, I was a fledgling. I was just starting to, I'm still unpicking shit now.
Yes.
So that's probably why it was quite hard. But I did my best. And certainly the mindfulness piece, I was really researching and working on. So that kind of underpinned the
Yeah.
concepts in that book. But I'd probably do a better job of it if I wrote it now.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be book number 5. Not that I'm writing any more books, but Mrs. D is going to therapy finally.
I can't wait to read it. I think that's definitely something that could be in the future. There was something that I read online that fascinated me. It was an article about you speaking at a conference back in 2017 about alcohols being in supermarkets. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did you try and sort of I'm not too sure. I can't really remember exactly what I read actually now, but you were definitely speaking at a conference about alcohol being in supermarkets. Did anything come of that?
Was that at the Beehive? Because I did do that.
You did.
Just saying. No, it's still in the supermarkets.
Yeah, but has there been more talk or anything about alcohol being
No.
removed from them?
No. We desperately need changes to our alcohol regulations. Availability, which is where you can purchase, is a big one. It should not be in the supermarket. And that's not just because of the mess of the, fact that it's in people's faces if they're trying to not drink, but it's the normalizing of alcohol as a staple. Here it is next to the cheese and hummus. It's just an ordinary everyday commodity, and it's not. It's carcinogenic, it's toxic, it's addictive. So I am hugely in favor of get it out of the supermarkets, not make it illegal. That's stupid. Of course, people can buy it and drink it if they want, but let's just put it in its own store. It's just a visual representation of the care around this product that we should be taking. So that's the big one, but also price and marketing. That needs to change as well, which is, we've got this stupid watershed, which means we don't have alcohol ads on the TV after 9. But who watches TV? I was been streaming Love Island earlier, and there, at noon on a Friday, and there's ads for, I think it was whiskey or something coming up in the ad breaks. It's just a joke, and that there should be, because all the images are glossy and the messages are all happy and healthy people drinking booze and all of that. So that needs to change as well. And that's only going to happen at a government level. And we've had a few politicians try and put bills through, and some tiny tweaks have been done, but around licensing. But we need big moves made by government to change some of those things to really shift the drinking culture in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I live in Auckland, and just going down the motorway you see these billboards with the Heineken, the 0%, even the 0% Heinekens, and it's like, stating that there's 0% and stuff, but just down the bottom, really, like, you can hardly see it. It says this product is 0.05% alcohol free. Even that in itself, for someone that is medically dependent on alcohol, if they touch a 0% alcohol drink, that can be detrimental to their sobriety and to their recovery.
Yeah, and Heineken is most of their money and sales are in actual alcohol, alcoholic beer, and so it's a huge win for them that they get this brand placement. They call it stealth marketing. You're still seeing Heineken, even though it's 0%. It's still they're getting their name out there. They're making themselves look good, but actually, it's really helping their beer sales as much as it is. I'm a little bit mixed because I think the rise of sober curious, grey area drinking, all the non-alcoholic drinks is great because it does normalize and make it easier for people who maybe are in that zone of not hugely problematic, but they want to shift things. It's all wonderful, but gives the impression that it's easy for everyone, and it's not. It's not easy for everyone. It's not as simple as having a non-alcoholic beer. You need recovery. You need those tools, that layering, that support. And so I'm just a bit mindful that, I think our messaging around that sober curious type alcohol-free stuff needs to be careful so that we're not isolating the people that are further down that addiction spectrum.
Yeah, totally. I had one of your friends come and do a podcast interview with me a couple of weeks ago, and he was so staunch on, nah, I'm not touching any of it. I'm not giving my money to any of them, and it made me giggle. And you know who I'm talking about, and
I
so
do.
he's been very clear about it with that. But it was actually quite refreshing to hear someone say it with so much confidence like that as well. I'm totally with you as well. I'm a bit 50-50. I love it if it's helping people and it's supporting people with their journey. But for me personally, I have to be really cautious around that because like 0.05% alcohol, still a little bit of alcohol. And I know my relationship with alcohol, it can be a really slippery
So
slope.
you don't touch it?
I have in the past when I was early on. Now I don't, because I've educated myself a little bit more on it. And I have come to the understanding that actually I am happy with a lemonade.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the sparkling water or a lemonade or,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm the same. I don't touch it. I find it weirdly sort of not triggering, like I'm pulled to, I want to have a bottle of wine, but it's just weirdly reminiscent of when I was drinking, and I'm just a bit weary. I just don't know my brain, I just I'm like you, give me a lemonade.
Yeah. I think also working in the addiction sector as well, I want to be able to I just support people with whatever they decide to do,
Yeah.
and that's just, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some people in the community I now run at livingsober.org.nz, where, for them, having a non-alcoholic beer in their hand at a party is the reason they can cope being at the party. And it works for them
Exactly.
and they don't get triggered. We always just say, go for it, be careful, just watch yourself. And they say, no, I'm good. It hasn't made me have any increase of thoughts or whatever. So for them, it's like, great. But yeah, just be careful.
Exactly. Yeah, I also wanted to touch on with you today. Your education has also caught my attention. You've got a master's in communication and media studies, plus a postgrad certificate in counselling.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you do that when you were drinking, or where did that all sort of unfold for
What
you?
am I like? When
It's
do I
awesome.
do these things? No, no. I did the degree and the master's, which was in reality TV, my master's.
Oh my gosh.
Back, in fact, I was halfway through my master's when I got sober.
Okay.
Literally, I was writing the thesis. The postgrad in counselling, it was a postgrad certificate, or diploma. I did it like 3 years ago. And because I was floundering around, like, what am I going to do with myself? I need a job to see me up to retirement. And because writing books doesn't make any money. And I thought maybe I'm a counselor. So I went and did this diploma, which was amazing because mostly it was the cultural competence side of things. Was just, I've never done such a deep dive into privilege. It was confronting and powerful. And so it's really informing everything I do now. But anyway, uh, this is kind of convoluted, but in the middle of the year that I was doing that postgrad diploma in counselling, I got some work as a peer support worker at a addiction service, and I started seeing clients as a peer support worker, and I figured out that I actually wasn't really a counsellor. For whatever reason, I just could tell. So
How
I
did
was
you figure that out though?
I think I really like being in the online space and doing the peer support and the writing, but I don't think I'm good on it. I don't It's just not I'm in awe of people who do it. I could just tell it wasn't for me. So the diploma hasn't really gone anywhere. I just paid my $10,000 and got it, smashed it out in a year, and now it just sits on the shelf and I'm doing something else.
Oh my god, good on you though for just dipping your toes in and trying it out. It's it's not for yeah, I guess it's not for everyone, and it's awesome that you were able to identify that and come to the realization that that's okay.
Yeah, I would have had to go on and do another master's to actually get registered as a counsellor. So it would have been a whole more study. And all things considered, I was like, no.
It's interesting, I started my degree at AUT at the start of this year, Bachelor of Health
Ooh,
Science with a major in counselling. And
great.
so this semester, I just started back on Monday actually after like a 2-month break. I just could not believe that the break was so long. And
Yeah.
then we started back on Monday, and it's awesome. It is awesome because I've just never put myself in a position to challenge myself to the sort of lengths I think I'm going to be challenged with this degree. And I think that there is going to be a lot of, as much as learning externally, there's going to be a lot of learning internally as well.
Mm,
For the past 2.5 years, I have been a peer support worker, and that's where I found my feet. And to sort of
beautiful.
step into a counselling position is going
Mm.
to be a completely different,
Oh, and you'll be a gift because you'll have the clinical and the lived experience, and the combination of those factors is really powerful. Yeah,
I
amazing. Look at you.
thank you. This is not about me though. This is about how
Oh, yeah.
amazing you are. Talk to me a little bit about what you do within the living sober space today.
Yeah, so it grew out of my blog, which got a lot of people reading it and commenting, but all they could do is comment at the bottom of my blog posts. And so I went to the addiction sector here in New Zealand and basically somehow managed to get them all backing me to start this community website called Living Sober, which is I run it basically with the support of the New Zealand Drug Foundation, and we run on an absolute shoestring budget from Te Whatu Ora, Health New Zealand, which I'm grateful for. And we have 50,000 odd people go through it in one way or another every year. A lot of people are active daily members talking about how they're feeling and how they're doing. There's no barriers to entry. I'm not a businesswoman. I never wanted to set it up like a venture. We don't charge. There's no charge. There's nothing. It's anonymous and free, and you can just go in there and be in a safe place and talk about what's happening. And if you don't want to talk about it, lurk, because lurking is powerful. We love our lurkers. And so so I'm the community manager, so I basically just keep an eye on them all, make sure they're being nice, which they always are. It's the kindest, most beautiful space. Really, honestly, I can't believe how precious it is. And then I also create all the content, so doing interviews and writing posts and putting up drink recipes and stuff like that. I've been doing it for just over 10 years. And I love it. It just sits in the background of my life, and it has done for all these years, and it's great.
Oh, incredible. So do you go onto it every day and you just have a gaze of it and just make sure that everything is going smoothly and
Pretty
yeah.
much. I think probably sometimes it's every second or third day. People tag me if they need me, so I'll get a notification. But yeah, I pop in. I probably write on it in the community, do a little update from me once a week, and I do replies to other people's updates so people know I'm there, because I think having a moderator is important to keep the community just feeling protected and cared for. And I shared with the community this morning that I was going to see a counsellor, and the replies, oh, every email that came through with the notification, everyone's just being so lovely. It's just a beautiful space. And, we are busy because there are still a lot of people struggling with alcohol. People try and say, oh, the stats are falling, people are drinking less than they were 15 years, but it's like, yeah, but there's still a lot of people drinking at hazardous levels, a lot of harm being caused. We still have a drinking problem.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. What's your concept of it all? Because I hear the exact same thing that people say that, oh, the stats are falling, this and that, but I'm not seeing that. Am I missing something?
No, I know. I was just actually just looking at that before I came on here because I'm writing an article. Yeah, I mean, the overall rates of alcohol consumption are down, but the harm is still really high. So maybe the midlifers are drinking a lot and hazardously, um, and that's still a problem. There's still maybe the numbers of drinkers who are younger, there aren't so many, but those that are still drinking heavily and harmfully. There was an epidemiologist I interviewed for my book, The Wine O'Clock Myth, and she said to me that they're also a little bit questioning whether it's a wellness decision or whether it's to do with isolation and social media, and that people aren't on the banks of the river like I was at 15 anymore, boozing with their mates because they're at home isolated and on gaming or on social media. And is that a good thing? I don't know. So anyway, it's complicated, but there's no doubt about it that there's still a lot of harm being caused. Just talk to the police, talk to the hospitals, talk to the psychologists, talk to the emergency services, talk to everyone, and they'll tell you alcohol is causing a lot of harm and a lot of problems. Victim support will tell you all of their family harm work. It's, yeah, we still have this culture where it's just normalized, glorified, cheap, available, heavily marketed, and it's a madness. It is a grade one cast. Like, it's like, I know you know, but we will look back. I'm pretty convinced we will look back at this time and be like, that is so crazy. You used to drink when you were getting your hair cut and drink when you're going to the movies, like we do now with cigarettes, like that. We used to smoke on the bus and in the airplane. I'm sure we'll do that with alcohol, but it's going to take a little bit longer.
I know, and it's just I think that it is so sad that people don't have this understanding of it yet. And like you said, it being a class one carcinogenic, and there are people around us dying every day from these diseases, and alcohol is actually directly related to it, but it's not being talked about.
I know, and the industry has a real part to play in that because they muddy the waters around the messaging from the scientists that are unequivocal. They fight, the moves to put warning labels on bottles. Yeah, so that the industry has, but again, it needs to come from government. But yeah, the awareness of the cancer causing properties of alcohol is really low.
Yeah.
And
When
even
you
just the fact that it's a drug. I mean, I feel bad going, oh, it's a drug. It's a drug. It's addictive.
It's the worst one that there is as well, in my eyes, I think that alcohol causes the most harm out of all the drugs, from my opinion, that's on the market.
Yeah, it
I
does. No, I
yeah.
think it's not just your opinion. I think if we look, and I wish I had it now because I was just looking for it. There's reports that have been done about that, and I'm going to find it to put in this piece I'm writing. I'm writing an angry piece in reply to a piece someone wrote about how dry July wasn't needed, and really we should all be having a damp July. And I'm like, piss off. So,
And you're just biting back, but you're just It really, yeah.
Angry.
I love it. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Your latest book, Mrs. D is Not on a Diet, is related to the diet culture here in New Zealand. And I think I read a little bit about how maybe your addiction to alcohol and diet sort of went did you swap one of them for the other at some stage? Did you find yourself eating a little bit too much after you'd given up the booze?
Um, not well. Yes, yes, and I thought that was a problem, but it wasn't. I think I'd been influenced by diet culture my entire life. I think the way that the two things are most related is that waking up to alcohol culture, which was literally like a dramatic eye opening for me at age 40 ish when I got sober, waking up to this culture we live under, which is created by humans and not good, helped me when I woke up to diet culture, which I did about 3 years ago. And went, whoa, hang on, we're living under this set of rules that tells us that skinny is healthy, fat is bad, dieting works, and all of those things are lies. And it's a madness. And talk about deeply embedded. Alcohol culture is deeply embedded. Diet culture is even more deeply embedded. So it is kind of a shift away. And I get the feeling my people who follow me for my alcohol stuff aren't. Some of them are interested in the diet stuff, but the diet stuff is, so it is separate in a way, but it was just something I was going through. And as we have established, Nicole, I like to write about things when I'm unpicking them. So I wrote that book to kind of, yeah, just really explore what diet culture is and then share my journey that I'd went through this extreme diet, lost a whole bunch of weight, and then put it all back on again.
Oh, wow. What were your biggest learnings out of writing and reflecting on the diet culture?
Diets don't work.
Yeah.
Diets make you fatter. Diets don't work 85 to 95% of the time. There are some people that can make them work and stay working.
Mm.
And there are a lot of people who are just naturally slender and slim. But for the vast majority of people, they go on a diet, their brain revolts because it thinks it's in a famine. It starts craving, you start binging, and your metabolism slows down to store so that you don't die. So your body fights the diet. Oh, you might lose weight even 3 years, but by year 5, you would have put the most likely outcome is that you would have put it all back on and more. That is the most proven outcome of a diet. You're not a failure. You're just, your body's been trying to survive. So that was the most surprising thing. And then just working on body image and being okay with the fact that I've got big boobs and a wobbly tummy, which I still have to work on every day because the world is still really saturated with diet culture messaging, but I'm fighting the good fight.
Oh, nice. And it's awesome to see, like you say, that you are fighting the good fight. You know, when you have a little bit of a public figure as well and people follow you and stuff and you recognize this and you talk about it, you know, like God forbid I'm not the skinniest pea in the pod either. And, you know, I have a stomach that folds over and I have this ass that's like, you know, like it's just my body is my body and I fight daily to be okay with that as well. But it's a real internal sort of I do it very internally with myself and it's a lot up here as well. Your brain is very good at telling you things sometimes that just aren't true.
Yeah, your brain, but also society. Like we have to cut ourselves. The diet culture messaging is overwhelming. And so, yes, it's our brains, but also it is the crushing weight of everything that's being fed to us and being fed to us from a young age. So, yeah, it's a hard one, that one. But it's with the alcohol, I could just choose to be a non-drinker and go through the roller coaster of learning how to do that and living raw and everything that comes with it. But I just don't touch alcohol. You can't do that with food. So you have to do, it's anyway. I'm really grateful to be doing it because it's so interesting and it feels right.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I back you 100% of the way with that. That is absolutely incredible that you've just been able to plant this all into a book and just, yeah, let it do its thing as well. That's awesome. Hey, if I was to ask you, if you had the opportunity to sit down with 12-year-old Lotta and have a conversation with her, what would that conversation look like today?
I don't know if I can do this now without crying because this goes to what I'm doing, starting to really unpick, and hopefully with a counsellor. Um, I think that 12-year-old Lotta was about to develop some coping strategies and personality traits that made perfect sense. And she was going to do the best thing she could do with what she'd been dealt. I'm having to be cryptic here. Um, and I'm proud of her for that. And I want to thank that young Lotta for doing that. But it's time to stop. I'm talking to 53-year-old Lotta, actually, because the 12-year-old's still in me, and the 15-year-old, and the 18-year-old, and the 30-year-old, and the 40-year-old who's been doing all these things because of stuff. And uh, I'm really grateful to her. It's so weird. But I'm pleased that I'm going to be unpicking this stuff now, because sometimes those strategies aren't actually serving us the best, and sometimes there's other things that need to be done that's scary and brave. So what would I say to 12-year-old Lotta? I've got your back. That's what I'd say. Do your best. You're doing great. It's all going to be fine. I've got your back, and I'll be with you right to the end.
That's beautiful. Your vulnerability through that as well. I can't thank you enough, because you've just 12-year-old Lotta would be so proud of you today. Like it's just I this is the first time I've met you sort of face to face as well, and I'm just sitting here going, my heart is so full for you, Lotta. Oh my gosh, this journey of life that we are on is so full of ups and downs and twists and turns, and it is so remarkable that you've managed to get to the space that you're in, and God, recovery and sobriety look good on you today. Like it's you've been able to get to this place where you've actually been able to say, hey, look, right now it's time to
Mm.
step through a new door and start working on some stuff that I think at the end of it you're just going to be so thankful that
Mm.
you have.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
hope. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's tricky, but I am. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, all of the above.
All of the above, totally. Hey, if there was anyone out there that was struggling with their substance use, alcohol, or other drugs, what would your message to them be?
Know that change is possible. Believe it. It is. You can do it. You might think that you'll never be able to. You can, and it might be a bumpy road, but you have to believe that there will come a time when you look back and you thank yourself for doing this work, because you can turn things around. Number one. Number two, you got to connect with others who have been through it or are going through it. Those are your people. They will lift you up. They will carry you through. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing being around other people in recovery, trying to get sober, whatever. So yeah, just connect with those people, and all the very best. Kia kaha is what I would say.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. And as we start to wrap up this conversation, Lotta, I'm just very mindful of the time and stuff. I just want to firstly acknowledge you and thank you so much for coming on and sitting down with me today, and just being so open and honest, willing and vulnerable with me. And, like the people that you have helped on your journey, some people that you've probably just got, no idea that are out there and that are just kicking it today. like I can't even put into words, the space that you hold is just so incredible. And if there is anyone out there listening to this, I highly recommend you jump onto that Living Sober website and just connect in. It is so worth it, and it's so worth just checking it all out. I love to give my guests the opportunity to close on anything that they would like to close on. So the floor is yours, Lotta, and thank you again.
Oh, Nicole. Oh, what a gift. And how great that you're in this space and you're using your gifts and your light and your sparkliness to create platforms like this and have conversations like this that are so important and be helping others. So huge, huge mihi to you. And yeah, I just want to thank you and just say to everyone out there, you can do this and there are brighter days ahead. And I know we didn't open with a karakia, but if I could close.
Totally.
Paua ki runga, paua ki raro, paua ki taumara nui, no rangi, no papa, e rongo, he aio, pai marire.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Lotta.